Have just varying amounts, but then it'll be on the website for those that miss it live. Have just varying amounts, but then it'll be on the website for those that miss it live. Have just varying amounts, but then
we are live. We are now live. Good morning and welcome to the AlabamaWorks.
Website for those that miss it live. Have just varying amounts, but then
We are live. We are now live. Good morning and welcome to the AlabamaWorks.
Sonia, I believe we're going to need to mute everyone because we're getting some feedback.
Okay, we're good.
Okay. Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us today for the May 2021 AlabamaWorks monthly webinar. We have a really good agenda today, and it's my pleasure to announce that our special guest today will be U.S. Senator Tommy Tuberville. Senator Tuberville is doing an excellent job advancing Alabama's education and workforce efforts as a member of the Senate Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions Committee. Through his career as an educator, coach, and mentor of young adults, Senator Tuberville understands that we must go beyond 12 years of secondary learning. I appreciate his recent comments in the committee in that regard. So I look forward to his comments this morning. After Senator Tuberville, we'll have Michelle Hurdle, who is a former member of the AWC and currently with FlightWorks Alabama. She's going to join us to provide an update on We Build It Better initiative. Michelle and Airbus are excellent partners, and their work's helping to advance a new era CTE programs across Alabama. Nick and I had the opportunity to visit FlightWorks and get an overview of the We Build It Better program a couple of months ago. I can attest that both the FlightWorks facility and the We Build It Better program are very impressive. And I encourage each of you to visit FlightWorks facility and investigate the We Build It Better program. It's worth your effort. After Michelle, we'll have Ms. Susan Patrick, President and CEO of the Aurora Institute. She's joining us from Richmond, Virginia this morning. She's going to give us an outline of her work in advancing innovative competency-based learning solutions. Following Susan, we'll have Anabel Roth from the Governor Kay Ivey's office to provide an update on the Alabama Innovation Commission and its work to advance a new generation of businesses and jobs that take advantage of Alabama's unique capabilities. And as always, we'll have Nick Moore join us this morning from the governor's office to provide a monthly labor market update to close us out. So now it's my honor to turn over the program to United States Senator Tommy Tuberville.
Well, thank you very much. Everybody hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thanks for the opportunity. And it's kind of weird to be called senator. So all of you back home, please call me coach. That's what they call me up here. I earned 40 years of being in education. I think that gives you the right to kind of pick what you want to be. But thanks for giving me the opportunity to be on. I think it's important that we really all get organized for the future of our state and our country about education and workforce. As you just said, I'm on the HELP committee here, and it's been very interesting listening to people, and a lot of people up there really believe in the workforce. The problem that we have as we speak, and I gave a speech on the Senate floor a few weeks ago, and both sides want to spend a lot of money on infrastructure. And we all understand we need infrastructure in our state and our country. Our roads are getting worse, and bridges and airports, and we need to upgrade. We've kicked the can down the road. These people up here, that's what they do. They talk about it, but you kick the can down the road. The problem I got with that, and I told them, I said, we can pass all this we want. Who's going to build it? Because we don't have enough workforce out there to build $1 trillion worth of infrastructure. We don't have it. It'll take forever. And we want it done the right way. So one of the main reasons I ran for this office was because of what I've seen in education in the last few years. Going to high schools and universities all across, not just the state of Alabama, but all across the country. I've seen more of an influx of a social atmosphere in education. It's becoming more of an agenda of a lot of our kids, instead of learning a skill and learning an opportunity through education to have a great life in the future and a family and be able to make the money that they want to make. I think sometimes a lot of these young men and women are taking the wrong path. Now that's up to them, and rightly so, they can do that. But to me, four-year universities they have their purpose. I think there's a great purpose in a lot of ways, but also understanding that a lot of kids that I paid their education, they get degrees and things that when they get out, I'm trying to help them get a job in something that has nothing to do with their degree. I think we need to really understand that there needs to be a process in our state, in our country, on getting kids involved with what they want to do in the future at an earlier age, not at an age of when they go to college of well, I want to do this or I want to do that. I think that we need to help them earlier in life, along with their family, of just giving them the opportunity to say, you should look at this. You should think about this. You really like doing something in this area. Once you think about looking in that at an earlier age. And so I know as well as probably some people on this call that I got involved, obviously with athletics is what I ended up in, but I got involved with things in our school growing up in terms of wood shop, welding, electricity, plumbing, there's nursing, home building, all those things that we don't do anymore. We don't give kids the opportunity to be introduced to that. Now, if you look at it, I'll find my deal here. Our kids are, and not just our kids, we ourselves are addicted to this thing right here. And it's controlling our lives. And because of that, I think we get off the path of a lot of these kids in an earlier age of doing looking at what they really want to do for in the future for the next 50, 60 years when they get out of school. So I think that no later than the 9th grade, I know Dothan High School, going down there about a year ago, they made some consolidations of their schools. But the one thing that they did also is they got their kids involved starting in the 9th grade in some kind of trade. Something you got to do something other than the science, math, algebra, and athletics. You got to get involved in some kind of trade. And my understanding is working very well. And once you get involved in it, you don't have to do it the rest of your life, but it might be something that you might get a hold of and understand that, hey, this might be something I want to do. But if they're not introduced to it, they'll never have that opportunity to make that decision. So four-year universities are good for a lot of degrees, but I think that if you look at the future of the state of Alabama, for instance, we were all very worried about losing population and losing a congressional seat, which would have cost us billions of dollars if that would have happened. People didn't really understand that, but it would have cost our state billions of dollars and we had lost that seat. And by the grace of God, we did not. And the sky is the future for us because we're going to grow. And I said this on the campaign trail. People are going to move here by the droves because we got a great state. We got a lot of great opportunities, and we're a right to work state. You're going to have manufacturing come in like all the car manufacturing. People are going to come because they can hire good workers. So I think we throw that all together with the rise in the population that's going to happen in Alabama in the next few years. There should be a plan put together for what we do in our middle schools and our high schools, 2-year universities, and also our 4-year schools. We have to put apprenticeships in. We need to get young people involved, maybe one day a week and working as an apprenticeship in some area. I think that will give them the opportunity. But the problem that this generation has had is this generation has gone to school, and if they played athletics, which was great, I think it's awesome that kids get involved in athletics, but they didn't. They're either on their cell phone or they're playing PlayStation, and that's fine. But we have become a generation of technology that is fine. We're going to need a lot of people in technology, but we have gotten away from using our hands in other areas. So I just want to say that I think that we all need to put our heads together and make our mind up what we want to do and train these young people in other areas. We cannot allow it just to happen by osmosis. There's got to be a plan put together for junior high, high schools, 2-year schools, and 4-year schools. I've said for the last 10 years that probably half the kids in Alabama and Georgia and Florida and Louisiana and Mississippi in the southern part of the country, half the kids that go to 4-year schools probably don't need to go. They need to go some other route and learn something. And that doesn't mean that it's derogatory. It doesn't mean that, I think it's even harder to do that, to make that decision at a younger age to say, I'm gonna pass up some of these social agenda items and go ahead and earn this degree in something that I actually can make $25, $30, $40 an hour and make a great living for me, have a chance to raise a family and really enjoy the United States of America. But I think we've gotten to the point where people think you can't get a job unless you go to a 4-year school. That's wrong. Now, I've got a son right now that's just turned 25. He's on the 6-year plan at Aurora. Now, I can't get him out. He kind of likes that social part. He's smart. He works at it, but he's in cybersecurity, and it's something he really wanted to do. So it's going to take a little bit longer for him to do that. But I think in the future, and I will say this, we need 400,000 cybersecurity majors today. That's how short we are in cybersecurity, 400,000 across this country. And that's the direction that we're going in a lot of these businesses. Just look at what happened to the pipeline last week. We can't survive unless we are able to block these attacks. And that's where it comes from, is these kids that are growing up in this cybersecurity. So I think that if we'd had a plan 10 years ago to train these kids, we could have probably had a couple of 2-year schools in the state that if you want to learn cybersecurity, you go there for 2 years, you go straight through for 12 months, and in 12 months, you get out and you bypass a lot of things that you have to take at these major universities, like retaking English and some things and histories that you took already in high school. All they want to do is make money off of you for a couple of years before they train you. And I'm not against 4-year schools. I'm just against 4-year schools taking things and make it prolonged period, and then kids get out and can't get a job. So I'm all aboard, and I'm going to work very hard up here in this health committee that we're going to build a workforce across this country. We're going to give grants. We're going to schools, high schools, 2-year schools to build our workforce up, because if we don't do that, we're not going to have the workers to make it through the building of this country, which is really, I think, going to escalate in the next 10 years. And so in Alabama, I think we need to be ahead of that. We need to be ahead of the curve. And we need to understand that everybody needs to be on board, understanding that there's a different route that a lot of these kids can take. But it needs to start in the 9th grade, and it doesn't need to start, when they're 21 years old and trying to figure out what they want to do. We need to help them understand that what they need to do and give them the opportunity. A lot of it has to be marketing. I think marketing is going to be a big byproduct of this in the future. So that's kind of where I stand. Again, I'm all on board with you and what you want to do, but just talking to some of these other senators up here, they're getting a leg up on us. They're starting these 2-year schools, and they're starting assistantships and apprenticeships and doing the dual enrollments of having the opportunity to go to high school, but also work at maybe go to a 2-year school on the side at the same time and learning these trades. And we need to be proactive in this. So that's kind of my spiel on it. I'd like to keep you updated ever so often of what we're talking about in these health committees, but there's going to be money, grants, loans put out to help these young people in the future get into different areas. But we need to have that planned. You can't start it overnight. There's got to be a big plan for that. So I don't know whether that's the direction that you were thinking about of me being on here today, but I'm going to work very hard to help this country get back to kids being able to use their hands and want to work for a living other than let it possibly happen by osmosis, because a lot of times that's how kids get jobs. They go to school to get out, and then they got to find really what they want to do. They're not trained to do anything other than going to school and having a good time and getting out and finding it what their degree was in. They didn't have an opportunity to be trained enough to get into something they really want to get into. So any questions? Y'all want to have a question and answer? What do you want to do?
Well, Senator, we typically don't do the question and answer, but because we have people all online. So, but we would love to follow up with you, and we have a monthly webinar, and we've been doing this for just about a year now since once the pandemic struck, we stopped meeting in person as much as we had. So now we're doing this monthly webinar, and we'd love to have you come back and update us whenever you're available. I know you're busy in Washington, but we're all on the same page with you. We're doing a lot of the work you're talking about already, and actually, believe it or not, we're leading the country in a lot of these programs. So we're with you, and invite you back at any time. So all you got to do is let us know, and we'll be asking as well.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it. And private sector is really going to have to get involved. We meet every so often. We've got a building group that we meet with in the state, and we've got a road group that we meet with. We are really hurting with people that will go out and work right now, and the salaries are going up, hourly wages are going up, and we need workers, and we need people to go back to work and understand that you can make a great living other than doing something that you might thought you could do, but there might be something that you're better at doing. So I'm glad that y'all are up on this. And again, I've been to all the two-year universities and doing through the campaign and talking with them. And I think a lot of them are on board. We're training a lot of nurses. And that's one area that we're really hurting with across the country, not just in Alabama. So after this pandemic, you're going to see really a downturn in terms of nurses. People are going to start getting out of it. But I think it's point right now that that's when we need to escalate the importance of it, because this is not the only pandemic we're going to have. This could be a reoccurrence ever so often. We just need to be more prepared for it this time, other than what we were prepared for last year when it came around.
Yes, sir. Well, we certainly appreciate you being with us today, and know you've got a busy schedule, but again, you're welcome back at any time. And we look forward to hearing from you. And anytime you need us, all you got to do is call.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. Stay in touch. I'll let you know what's going on up here. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Senator. Okay, thank you again. Now I'd like to ask Michelle Hurdle to update us on the FlightWorks Alabama and the We Build It Better initiative. Michelle?
Thank you. I'm going to share my screen. And so I'm going to look to y'all to make sure it's doing what it needs to do. Is it there?
It looks good.
Yes, you're good.
Okay. All right. So I'm Michelle Hurdle. I am with Airbus Government Relations, and part of my responsibility is to manage the operations of FlightWorks Alabama, which is the Aviation Education Center here in Mobile at Brooklyn. Several years ago, Airbus partnered with the state to construct and equip the center. We hired former Disney Imagineers who made the exhibit gallery both educational and entertaining. We have over 40 exhibits that give the guest a glimpse into what we do at Airbus and how we manufacture and assemble the Airbus A320s. We have 3 tiers of learning here. The first one is inspiration. The second is FlightWorks Alabama certifications, and the third are industry recognized certifications through NC3, which is the National Coalition of Certification Centers. Those include torque, structural sheet metal, electrical, precision measurement, tools at height, safety. There are about 8 of them. We've just gotten the certifications for 3D printing as well. So on the inspiration one, again, this is a glimpse into the center. These are all the hands-on exhibits we have, and it really takes the guests through the whole process from research and design. They can, there's a virtual wind tunnel, there's a flight simulator so they can test fly it. There's virtual reality, and it goes into real pieces of equipment too. So you see the APU in the picture, but we also have a cockpit for guests who may or may not have ever flown in a plane. So this gives them the experience. And then we take them, this is the starting point for all final assembly line tours. So again, inspiring them and letting them know about careers in aviation. While we know that Airbus is not going to employ every person that goes through the center, we want to make sure the students and the teachers and the parents are all aware that you don't have to be an engineer or a pilot to be in this industry. There are tons of other jobs and positions you can be, from artists on the liveries to mechanics and installers to electrical to quality, and the list goes on and on. But what our goal is to not just inspire them in aviation, but to get them to where they're embracing STEM, not only in the classroom, but later on in their careers as well. And again, these are the certifications that we do offer. The blue are the FlightWorks ones. So from leadership and robotics to SolidWorks and sublimation, and then the Snap-on tools. And again, we did partner with Dremel as well. So we offer a 3D printing certification, and we show how 3D printing is now being very, very much used in the aviation industry, specifically at Airbus here. When designing the center, again, we wanted to make it educational and entertaining. So we made sure that the 21st century workforce skills were woven throughout the exhibit gallery, throughout all our programming from our education staff, as well as the professional development for teachers that we offer here. Our first big initiative was Flight Path 9, which is a pre-employment training program for high school seniors. So in 2019, we selected 25 high school seniors from Mobile County schools, and they went through 200 hours of training, earned over 18 industry certifications each. We partnered with SWAPT down here in Mobile for federal WIOA funds, as well as Centos and Embry-Riddle. And with Embry-Riddle and through our staff, we taught them 2 nights a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. We had a success coach here, and we helped them get through the program. They were delayed a little bit because of COVID, but they all well, the ones that finished the program and graduated from the program started working for Airbus in January. So they are on a traineeship. So they're rotating through different stations to see where their niche is and to see where we might need them. But they're already earning a salary equivalent to new hires at Airbus. They're on full benefits, and they have a 401k. So it's not a bad deal for an 18-year-old student. We opened FlightWorks in August, so in the middle of the pandemic. It actually gave us a little bit of time to not only finish FlightWorks and get all those students hired, but see where we were. And when we were delivering Flight Path 9, we saw that some of the students needed some more help and work in the typical things you see in the industry, not just aviation. So measurement, precision measurement and accuracy, using calipers and tape measures, understanding the fractions in measurement. So we all sat down and said, we wanted to do something like this for middle school students. Obviously, they wouldn't get a job when they finished 8th grade, but how do we go ahead and introduce them to a lot of these skills? So we reached out to the local career tech people, and they overwhelmingly embraced this because they said there was a need for STEM curriculum and career tech in middle schools. So in November of last year, we introduced We Build It Better. Again, it is written for 6th through 8th graders. It hits over 50 national and state standards, and it takes the students through the product design process. So it starts with innovation and invention. It goes to precision measurement and accuracy in manufacturing. There's design and fabrication with 3D printers, hand tools and fasteners, where they understand what hand tools. We give them hand tools. They know how to use them, know how to identify them, know how to take care of them. And it goes again, basic electrical, fiber optics, and coding and sensors. Now, to launch this, we are actually currently in the middle of a pilot program in Alabama, California, Oregon, and Ohio. And we partnered with the state of Alabama, Alabama Power Foundation, Airbus, Amazon Web Services, Mott McDonald Engineering, and Snap-on Tools. And what we're seeing is all the students are enjoying it, all the teachers are enjoying it, and we're going to tell you why right now. So we know the teachers are not in the manufacturing workforce like we are every day. So we developed the curriculum, present slide presentations, as well as the student digital notebook. And it takes the teacher through this. So it gives them all the objectives, tells what they're learning this day. And it even goes into the point where it's telling them how many minutes they should spend on each of the lessons. And then it connects it to the slide presentations and the digital notebook. So you see what they're seeing in day 1 and day 2 and how many minutes they should spend on each. So we turn their classroom into a center for workforce, a center for invention and innovation. And the students become the employees and the teacher becomes the manager. This is the cart that they will receive. It was specifically designed by Snap-on Tools for us. And they will have everything in this cart that they'll need to teach 28 students. You see the cart is full with all the hand tools and the multimeters for electrical, as well as the precision measurement. And all throughout this program, for example, in the first kit, they're taught what a safety manager does. The second kit, what does a quality manager or inspector do? And they're learning different terms. The curriculum, we have 7 curriculum writers that we have hired here, either their own staff or they're through contract, but we're also working with the University of West Alabama to help us with differentiation strategies. So for gifted students, we have different strategies for them. We also have the Spanish and English glossary available, and all the assessments are wrapped into this. So the teacher literally will come here in the summer. We have 4 weeks set aside for professional development. Each teacher receives 5 days of professional development, and they're able to deliver this with no other training needed. And again, the curriculum focuses not only on the product design process, but the Amazon leadership principles, the Bloom's taxonomy skills for higher order thinking, 50 middle school education standards, including Alabama, Common Core, ISTE, and Next Gen as well. So the education team has built this all. And not only, again, are we piloting it now, but we expect to see 75 of these programs in schools in the 4 states mentioned above, because the ones we piloted have all come back and want to deliver the full program this coming 21-22 school year. And we are excited not only for this, but at FlightWorks, because this summer we expect a lot of students here the fall to have to welcome a lot of students here for field trips that they weren't able to do this year. So I'm going to stop sharing now, if I can find you again. And to see if y'all had any questions on this, any of the programs, but we're ready to go here.
Well, again, Michelle, we have a hard time getting questions since we have so many people on, but I just, again, as you know, Nick and I visited you back, I think it was earlier this year, may have been late last year, but it was very impressive. It's a great program. I encourage everyone in the school system and corporate sponsors to look into the program. It's a very, very good program. And I think it's very compelling on teaching the high school students and middle school students on opportunities for the workforce that Senator Tuberville was talking about earlier. So unless you have something else to say, Michelle, we'll move on to the next speaker. Do you have anything else to add?
Appreciate you having us on and letting us tell our story. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Michelle. We appreciate y'all and appreciate the partnership and look forward to working with you as we move forward to expanding these programs. So at this time, I'd like to ask Ms. Susan Patrick to update us on the work of the Aurora Institute. Susan?
Thank you. Thank you. I'm Susan Patrick, and joining you from the Aurora Institute. We're a nonprofit organization working across the United States in all 50 states, and also learning from global education systems change. Our mission is to drive the transformation of education systems to ensure high quality learning for all, and really looking at the situation that we're in historically with COVID, with the shifts in the economy, with the growth of automation. All of these trends that I know you're deeply aware of is a watershed moment for true transformation. And we're seeing the need for building skills, lifelong learning has never been more important. So I'm going to share a little bit of this national perspective. We work with more than 40 states each year, governors, legislatures, groups that are keenly interested in education and economic development. And we've been studying how states and actually other countries that are highly performing are scaling innovative competency-based pathways to provide success for students in education and also for lifelong economic mobility. So that's the main idea here. What's interesting is with COVID, this is a recent poll that was just done. And right now, 91% of parents agree this is an opportunity to reimagine our public education systems. And that's an opportunity that we should take advantage of. Now, I've done a lot of work with some of the global leaders in education, and for education systems around the globe that have been able to leapfrog, we're right now in a leapfrog moment in education. This slide shows you that on the far right, the levers that have the biggest impact for systems change are around public mindset change, which we have, and changing the purpose. So it's really important for states and regions to be working with your local communities, challenging what is the purpose of our education system for lifelong success, for the future that few of us can imagine. Now, if you think about the areas that we spend a lot of our time in education policy in the US right now, it's down on the lower left side, the least areas of leverage, talking about what's measured and the flow of resources. So thinking about purpose is really critical right now. I'm going to share a global example and then dig in around US policy. And if you look at this example in New Zealand, which has over a 90% literacy rate, what they do in their qualifications, they don't quite have the same as a high school diploma. What they do is if students achieve level 1, it means that they have demonstrated mastery in literacy. That means you get every student the supports that they need until they demonstrate literacy, numeracy, and a whole range in their national curriculum of knowledge and skills and abilities. When you start going up levels, like once you demonstrate mastery, you can level up. This includes an articulation across aligning elementary, middle, and high schools or secondary schools, tertiary education, whether 2-year community colleges or 4-year university degrees, and every single workforce entity has an industry training organization that has mapped out the competencies, the knowledge and skills and abilities that is needed for the licensure of that job. Those are all articulated and offer competency-based pathways so that you have students in high school that are doing paid work-based internships, earning credit back towards their, what they call a comprehensive learner record that builds up and shows the knowledge, the skills, each level, each certification or micro certification across a lifetime. They have a program that's a youth guarantee that ensures that students are getting access to jobs, to internships, to dual enrollment inside and outside of school. So it's not forcing students into an outdated single pathway, but students can plan to be doctors or lawyers and also get graphic design or cybersecurity and all of these certifications. They build up, they're stackable over time. This is the idea behind competency-based pathways across a lifetime. So in the US, I'm encouraged because when I started doing this research in 2009 on competency-based education in K through 12, we saw that about a dozen states had created some flexibility from seat time so that students could learn inside and outside of school. And just look, by 2020, you have 49 states that have emerging policy. The red states have advanced policies. States like Alabama and Washington State are looking at how do we better align K through 12, higher ed, CTE, and the workforce so students are gaining and having access to competency-based pathways or continuous systems of learning over their lifetime. And this is exciting. So what do I mean by competency-based education? Some states call it mastery-based education. Some states call it proficiency-based education. Fundamentally, it's that students are progressing based on some evidence or performance of mastery, not just seat time. Like a driver's license, you have to show that through performance that you have mastered the skills and knowledge that you need to drive, or like in karate with a black belt. It means that students have different pathways, and these pathways have common expectations for all, but students must demonstrate their learning. Students are gaining agency and the skills to set goals every single day. Parents and students know where their students are every single day. So I'll shift real quickly. What are states doing to advance competency-based education systems in the US? If you start on the left-hand side, what's key is redefining student success. These, in some states, are called developing a profile of a graduate. We see this in South Carolina, profile of a graduate, in Virginia, in Utah right now. There are 9 states that have redefined student success more holistically for students' futures, whether in college or careers and beyond. So it's clear, it's more holistic, and states getting started are doing things like setting up state innovation zones so that school districts have much more flexibility to offer instruction anytime, anywhere that's competency-based. There are competency-based task forces where a state or a legislative study committee examines what the state needs to do to move ahead in competency-based education. Providing more credit flexibility, we certainly saw this in 2020, so that credits don't have to just be designed by seat time or minutes, but also can be designed and defined by the competencies that must be demonstrated. There are competency-based pilot programs and multiple pathways to graduation. If you go over to states taking a more comprehensive approach, they are looking at how do we align from pre-K, K-12, through higher ed, CT, and the workforce, total alignment that's fully competency-based for knowledge, skills, and dispositions. I was a co-author on this recent report with Catherine Casey that is about this vision, a call to action so that every learner will have pathways for future success, contribute to their communities, contribute to the future workforce. And the future workforce is going to look very different than even the pre-COVID workforce, as automation has been sped up. There are different fields, different industries emerging. So this report is about a promise for equitable futures and how to scale these educational and economic mobility pathways. It's a collective call to develop more ecosystems for lifelong learning in the US, and it comes with 14 policy recommendations, which I'll just touch on a few briefly. In order to stimulate innovation and create incentives that can help regions develop and oversee pathway systems, we're encouraging the development of innovation zones and new partnerships. We're looking at building infrastructure in the structures, like in these competency-based pathways that enable continuity of learning from K through 12 through employment, that all build on each other. And they're not separate, isolated degrees, but they build up into qualifications frameworks. It's about integrating college and career competency systems and graduate profiles that are competency-based. It's calling on rethinking credentialing and even rethinking transcripts, from transcripts that list single subjects with variable grades to comprehensive universal learner records that show the awarding of badges or micro-credentials as a student moves through their lifetime. And this is happening in places. Georgia is looking into a comprehensive universal student learner record right now. So it's about organizing and coordinating these regional pathways and developing a universal comprehensive learner record that shows and offers what a student can know and actually do, which is helpful for employers and for that student. So a quick snapshot of what this looks like is a place to record and have evidence behind all of the competencies, employability skills, their learning experiences, certificates and certifications in one place. This is about creating a different vision for what is possible in aligning K through 12, higher education, and the workforce. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to present today. And we believe that in order to prepare students for success in this future economy, that we're going to need whole system transformation through thoughtful but deliberate policy actions. It's an honor to be with you, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate the work that Alabama is doing in supporting a continuous lifelong learning system. Thanks.
Well, thank you, Susan. Really appreciate that report today. And we look forward to working with you to advance new models of learning and training. So let's keep in touch, and we need to continue to work together.
Thank you.
Now we'll turn the program over to Ms. Anabel Roth of the Alabama Innovation Commission to get us up to speed on their mission and what they're currently doing. Anabel?
Hey everyone, let me do the screen sharing here. Okay, let's get that started with presenter mode. Okay, can you see my notes on the side, or do you just see the screen as a whole?
Just the screen.
Okay, perfect. Well, hello everyone. My name is Anabel Roth, and I've had the opportunity to be Governor Kay Ivey's point person in our office for the Alabama Innovation Commission. So Governor Ivey established this by executive order on July 16th, 2020. So the point, as you can see, the purpose is for this commission to review Alabama's innovation environment and develop recommendations tailored for growing Alabama's innovation economic and tech-related industries. This commission is going to sunset at the end of October of this year. Once it sunsets, they'll present a report to Governor Ivey, and that report must have an evaluation of where Alabama is right now, policy recommendations to improve, and then data backing up those recommendations. This commission, it will bring new businesses, more jobs, and more opportunities to the state of Alabama. So those that are a part of the Alabama Innovation Commission, so as you can see, we have the advisory council, we have our university partners, and the commission members. So with the commission members, I wish I could go through and read the biographies of every one of these great people. They all have incredible backgrounds in the different areas of entrepreneurship and innovation. Representative Bill Poole is the chair of the commission, and Senator Greg Reed is serving as vice chair. With the advisory council, Zeke Smith has been the president of the advisory council. And also want to point out Dr. Condoleezza Rice. She's had the opportunity to serve on the advisory council, and I'll touch some more on our partnership with the Hoover Institute at Stanford University, which she's a director of. And of course, we have our university partners. As we've talked about so many times throughout this call, it's so important to speak with our educators as they're experts at their respected universities. They've contributed a lot regarding curriculum and ways as well to implement this into our students well in college and more. So with the group of commission members, we've split into two subcommittees. So we have the education and corporate subcommittee and the finance and infrastructure. So you can see below in the blue the goals of each of these subcommittees and their subjects. We also have split up the subcommittee members and the advisory council members based on their background and their experience to how they would serve best. And so we also have Miller Gervin is chairing the Finance and Infrastructure Subcommittee, and Sharice Stokes, she's chairing the Education and Corporate, and they're working with Senator Greg Reed and Representative Bill Poole. So what these subcommittee meetings have looked like, they will break away and do separate meetings. Of course, with COVID, we've had all Zoom meetings. We've had 2 in-person meetings so far, and luckily we're rounding the corner of COVID, so we have some more in-person meetings later. And so they have had their separate subcommittee meetings, and so they'll have dialogue and they'll plan, and then we'll come together as a full commission with the advisory council, with everyone together, and these subcommittees will report on what they've talked about, and these subcommittees will meet together and form recommendations for later. So as I spoke on the Hoover Institute earlier, so Dr. Condoleezza Rice, former Secretary of State, when she was asked, why Alabama? Why did the Hoover Institute choose to work with the state of Alabama? She said, well, Alabama asked first. And so we're very happy that, we pulled out the big guns and we got their help. If you don't know much about the Hoover Institute, it was founded in 1919 at Stanford University. It's a public policy think tank promoting the principles of individual, economic, and political freedom. And the goal of this partnership with the Innovation Commission and the Hoover Institute is for the Hoover Institute to provide policy recommendations, and they're focused in areas such as economic, education, racial justice, and innovation policy. They provide a great outside perspective and more national resources. They have been a great team, and they're partnering so well with our commission members that are here in the state of Alabama. Those different ideas of national and state perspectives are going to create great policy recommendations that will later be given to the governor. So the four main areas and recommendations that the Hoover Fellows have actively been diving into are policy incentives and prosperity, deploying broadband-based education, fostering the role of universities, and the outdoor recreation lab. So they have been focusing in these four main areas and working in policy labs at Stanford University. So they have had the opportunity to work with Stanford students and along with Stanford grad students, and they've pulled in Auburn University, Alabama A&M, UAB, and a few other Alabama students. And they are collaborating with the Stanford experts, professors, the Hoover Fellows, and all of these schools in Alabama, along with Stanford, are working together to form policy recommendations and do research. Something interesting I think has been one of a fun area that the Hoover Institute has wanted to highlight for Alabama. I shared the Outdoor Recreation Lab. So as we know, Alabama has so much to offer outside. We have our beautiful lakes, rivers, mountains. And as Susan mentioned earlier, right now with COVID, we've really seen that you can work in a different location than where your office really is. So one thing that Hoover has collaborated with the commission members about is how we really should promote as a state a lot of our outdoor highlights, especially in the Cumberland Plateau region. So we have so much to offer, and it's not just through innovation entrepreneurship, but we have so many reasons why you should come to Alabama to start your business and to live here. And so two of the commission's priority bills in the 2021 session were House Bill 540 and House Bill 609. So House Bill 540 was sponsored by Representative Bill Poole, who's serving as chair, and is a public-private partnership to build off of where the commission is now. It's to form the Alabama Innovation Corporation. So again, as the commission will sunset in October, this corporation that will allow to continue the current efforts that the commission is doing now. So it will not just stop in October. House Bill 609 is sponsored by Representative Jeremy Gray, who serves on the Innovation Commission, and it's to create a program to match federal awards to Alabama SBIR and STTR recipients. SBIR means Small Business Innovation Research, and STTR means Small Business Technology Transfer. Both of these bills are currently sitting on the governor's desk. They passed through, of course, both houses, and we're very excited for the commission working together to form these pieces of legislation. So I wish I could talk so much longer of all the great things that the Alabama Innovation Commission has worked on and put together. With October coming soon, the final report will be given to the public along with the governor. If you would like to keep up with the Innovation Commission, please visit the website innovatealabama.org. I have to give a special thanks to Paradise Public Relations and their team for putting this website, all the graphics you've seen throughout my presentation. Innovate Alabama will show you when the commission meetings are. You're able to join through Zoom. you can join virtually. And, you can also look at all of our commission members, more of their backgrounds, and more of the history of innovation entrepreneurship in our state. We are on a great path, and I'm very thankful for the Innovation Commission, the Hoover Institute, and Governor Ivey's leadership to push Alabama to the next level. And I'm very excited to see where we will go. Thank you all so much.
All right. Thank you, Anabel. That was a great report. The Innovation Commission has the potential to connect education and the economy in Alabama like never before. And we look forward to seeing the great results from the group. So thank you again. And now, Nick, we've got about 6 minutes left. So if you can take us through the labor report, we appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll dive right into it. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I'm down here in the dungeon in the Capitol, and sometimes the internet flakes out on me a little bit, so I always got to be sure. So something that we've got some good news to celebrate. So now that we're getting closer to a full return to normal and we're getting more people vaccinated, we've got vaccine available to everybody now 12 years old and above, and we've got over 2/3 of our senior citizens that have received at least one dose of their vaccine. So those are all good things, and that's also having an effect on our labor market. And so as you can look at this graph, it just looks like a really long roller coaster ride, and that's what we could consider the last 14 months in the labor market, a roller coaster ride of pretty stable roller coaster in the last year. But if you look at that big drop off where we had most of our claims back in March and April and May of 2020, things have flattened out. But we have had since that time 1,099,000 Alabamians have filed an initial unemployment claim, but our unemployment rate is down to 3.8%. And that is a really good number because we're the lowest in the Southeast. So we continue to see a good unemployment number. Now, we also see in a lot of our, and I continue to show you this Opportunity Insights Tracker monthly so we can see where we have seen wage recovery and where we've still got some opportunity. So for our high wage and middle wage jobs, we've seen a tremendous amount of pickup, and even between. And so we understand what we're looking at here. How many jobs have been created or lost within these three income bands since the pandemic began? And we can see for folks that have been able to work from home, those that are in the knowledge economy, they've seen their jobs rebound. And so what our goal will continue to be, and as I've said here before, we've got to make sure that we're helping those that are in that low wage band where we've seen a 6.9% drop to reskill and upskill using credentials, using work-based learning, using programs that do articulate to 2-year degrees so that we can get those folks into those middle and high wage jobs. So that continues to be the central strategy. Now we have this month released our special population estimates for this year. And so what you'll see here is all of the special populations with barriers to entering education in the workforce that are in our state workforce and talent strategic plan. And for each region, a goal or an estimate for how many folks are in that population. And it's more than just knowing how many people are in that population. So what we've discussed here before and what we're getting closer to being able to do here is to connect these goals and estimates to a goal rather. And so here's our special population goals for attainment. So we'll see here that by 2025, we've got to get this many people in each one of those categories by region. You see the state numbers there at the first column or second column after the name of the special populations. And these are our targets. So just to clarify that again, here's our estimates for how many people are in each of those groups. And then here's our special population attainment goals or targets. And then we've also got an annual goal. So this would be our annual goal for this year, between now and this time next year. So this is what we've got to do. Just to take everybody back through that again. Here's the estimates for how many people are in the group. Here is the goal for between now and 2025. So the big goal to help us reach the attainment goal. And the idea here is that by focusing on those that are hardest to serve, we'll actually surpass our goal of adding 500,000 by 2025. Here is the annual goal. And then this is our annual labor force participation goal, because we also have the goal of trying to hit the national labor force participation average. So with that, Mr. Chairman, I will return it back to you. It looks like we're right on time.
Yes, sir. We're perfect. That's great. Thanks, Nick. We've made a lot of progress since the pandemic's inception, and we've still got a long way to go, but we can meet that goal of 500,000 additional credentialed people in Alabama by 2025. And that's what we're focusing on. So I want to thank all of our speakers once more today. I appreciate everything and all the messages that you brought us. It's very informative. I also want to thank all the stakeholders for being online today with us. And you can join us next month on June 21st at 9 a.m. for our next webinar. You can stay tuned or stay up to date on our speakers and any updates at the AlabamaWorks.com webinar. So until then, everyone stay safe and let's keep working, keep Alabama growing.